Good evening. Today is Wednesday, March 6th, and we are undertaking our budget work sessions tonight with the top brass of the Pleasantville Police Department arrayed before us, Chief Kressner and Lieutenants Woolman and Gilmartin. We are here with Eric Morris, our administrator, Noreen Regan, our treasurer, Nicole Asquith, trustee, who has arrived on time. We understand that David Benjamuri and Michael Peppard are on the way shortly, but let's start. I will share my screen. Do you want the organizational chart first?
Whatever you want to start with.
It's your party.
All right, sure, we can start with the org chart.
All right. Okay.
Great. So just a brief snapshot of where we stand organizationally with personnel. You'll notice that many of our positions are filled. We do have one outstanding patrol sergeant slot to promote into at some point. We expect to do that in the coming months. But generally, it's a pretty full chart as far as where our people are and how we have them deployed.
Okay.
That's good. You feeling good about that?
That's very good.
Yeah.
No very near-term retirements anticipated.
We do have one sergeant who is eligible to retire in the summertime. He has stated his intention that he is inclined to do that, but until such time as he formally announces that and goes through the process, we don't assume that, but we are expecting that there is a possibility that come later in the year, we might have one more position to fill.
All right. Want to go to the vehicles or
Sure.
the budget?
Do you want to say that for David in case he wants to be part of that conversation?
That's probably a good idea. All right.
Revenues?
Okay, there you go.
Wonderful. 1520 miscellaneous fees, very minimal. We do get some, but obviously very small amount. Prisoner movement. This was a number that used to be much higher. We are compensated by the county to transport prisoners to the county jail back and forth for our local court appearances. And so we have a contract that's in place. And so it's always sort of a best guess as to what these numbers are going to look like. Obviously, before bail reform, these numbers were much higher. Now that number has come down.
Although not really. I mean, based on 2023, for example.
Yeah, I mean, there was still, I mean, this year, if you look at it, that's a sizable number. If there is occasion for us to have a prisoner that goes back and forth, a lot of times there'll be multiple trips between when that person is originally remanded to the county jail and eventually either released or sent someplace else and their court appearances end. So it fluctuates.
Okay,
sure.
Got it.
Alarm registration and renewals. Again, this is not a huge money, a huge revenue generator for us. It does serve the purpose, however, of gaining compliance with people who have those commercial and residential alarms they take seriously. If there was to be a malfunction in the system, we have had people who haven't addressed those problems, and then we're back there repeatedly over and over until such time as somebody fixes it. So this sort of motivates them to do that.
Have we had much of that lately? I mean,
no, not really.
Yeah.
The systems usually work pretty well. I mean, we do. Hey, how are you?
Hey,
We definitely get false alarms, but we sure don't get as much of the repeat customer false alarms always going back. Sometimes on bad weather nights, you might get it, but we account for that.
okay.
And then our traffic control, you notice 2023 was a large number that was in response to, that's when outside contractors secure our officers to do traffic control with certain details. Again, you get a big project that comes through town and does a lot, then that number is going to be very high, but routinely it's not a huge.
No plans for an Amazon warehouse on Washington Avenue.
Not to my knowledge. Public safety funds, A022. We still participate with Westchester County in the Stop DWI program. That's pass-through money that comes from New York State and then is passed out for enforcement, separate enforcement above and beyond our usual routine police operations to do DWI enforcement. And did I miss anything?
No. It's $100,000 line for mystery revenue. Make sales? I don't know.
Any something?
Anything.
All right, 3010. 100 salaries, 101 part-time assistant. We haven't had a part-time assistant since we created the administrative sergeant's position.
And that's working out fine.
It's working out great. It's great. 106 holiday pay. 108 sick bonus retirement payout. The 2023 was for list one, I believe. And so since we're not anticipating any movement in that area,
Okay.
vacation buyback. We're all eligible to buy back a small number of vacation days.
Yeah.
Yep, that was just 4 days for the chief. I should have indicated that, just to put a number in there.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah, it's on there. You have it there.
Okay.
Does it say Cabo or no?
No, it's buyback. I'll be here instead. So 403, conference and training. So, a few things. First of all, the Nice Cop Conference, especially, I mean, something that I've attended the last couple of years. It's something I've qualified this year, as the president of the County Chiefs Association. Is probably something I should be at.
Yes, I support that.
Second line is IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police in Boston. So that is an organization that does a lot of, they provide a great deal of services. It is the preeminent law enforcement executive organization in the world. We have members all across the globe. We're going to be having Lieutenant Woolman and Lieutenant Gilmartin both join that organization. Because there are great benefits towards membership and towards for the department, including things like access to training, policy, things like that. Their conference this year is in Boston, and so we thought that was a unique opportunity for potentially all of us to attend that conference because it's not necessarily so far away. We wouldn't do this with Chicago or San Francisco or anything,
Or Israel.
or Israel, different conference. And then just other random training and conferences that we might need to attend.
Okay.
$1,000.
Okay.
404 tuition. Lieutenant Woolman still potentially working towards a degree. So we have that money set aside. Our supply line, 2,200. There's no description for the 1,000. Oh, that's so 1,000 of that is just general supplies for all three of us. 1,200 of that, I apologize that it didn't make it into the detail. Lieutenant Gilmartin needs a new desktop computer as per the village's computer replacement program. So, no, it's there. I'm sorry, I do see it.
It is there.
It is
Okay.
there, yeah.
Sorry, that's under.
Under.
Okay, and the rest of the
Oh,
supply line is
Let's see it. Yeah, it's all under
Direct
406.
paper and stuff?
Sorry.
the rest of this. I mean, it's one of those lines, not that it's very much money, but
Right.
the 2023 actual was zero. Right.
That's
And
going,
2024 year to date is zero.
there should be some, 2024, there should be some, Lieutenant Gilmartin got some new office furniture. His office
Okay,
furniture.
I mean,
gets
it's $1,000,
replaced.
whatever.
It's things like that, incidentals. Uniform allowance, or uniforms on 444.
Right.
Which is contractual. Dues and subscriptions, again, dues for IACP, the New York State Chiefs Association, the County Chiefs Association, as well as the National Academy Associates, for myself.
Okay.
475. So this, you'll see in a few spots in the budget, we are anticipating the possibility of in the upcoming year hiring two. One for an officer who is currently on a medical leave, possibly coming off the books, and another for a potential retirement. And so we have budgeted for 2 rounds of pre-employment testing that we need to do,
Okay,
as well as a potential fitness for duty evaluation.
right.
And then 488, we have just some software for the Adobe subscription for myself, the administrative sergeant, and the detective lieutenant.
Okay,
3120, 100. It's pretty straightforward. forward.
Right, all contractual.
So, 105. Again, these numbers are always best case scenarios, but we are starting off in a good place. We do anticipate, some potential retirements, and some people coming off the books, which would necessarily, which would obviously create more overtime, but we are confident from what we've seen with the two new officers, once they, have cleared field training, which they have, we are starting to see, you know, I think in February, we had 26 shifts of overtime prior to, at the beginning of the month of March, we had 6. It's a lot of variables in there, how many vacations get taken, things like that. You know, there's a week off of school in February, so people tend to take vacation around there. March, I think, has a week at the end, but, you know, as we've talked about many times, overtime is definitely, first and foremost, is a function of how many people we have here. So we're hopeful that we should be able to, keep around that number that we've expected the last few years, like 450.
Okay.
Holiday pay, again, that is contractual. Vacation buyback, we haven't had anybody really indicate a vacation buyback recently, so we're pretty confident that we should be good there. Equipment, numbers down, we need for, and we'll talk in a few moments about our vehicles and where they're going, but as we bring new cars online, we have to outfit them with the patrol tablets that allow our officers to access our records management system and other different programs that we run from the vehicles. So we'll be installing a new car there.
And what do you do with the old ones?
Some of them are retained, but eventually after 5 or 6 years, they're like old
Yeah.
laptops that
Okay.
just, yeah. Uniforms, new hires, again, we're anticipating potential, 2 potential new hires this year.
Okay.
312403. So we have a few, the first line there, the training conferences, online courses, $1,000 just to catch all. We do have a few commitments that we've made for training for our officers. New York State Police Juvenile Officers Association, that's where we send our detectives and sometimes our patrol members. They become certified as either basic juvenile officers, advanced juvenile officers, or potentially they have what are called workshops, which are topical sort of, it's a 1-day, half-day class, a week of these things that our youth trained officers can participate in to become, you know, brought up to date. Things like social media, you know, dealing with schools and school administrators, what their concerns are, things like that. New York Women in Law Enforcement, we've sent, the last few years, we've offered to send both of our female officers to that training. In 2025, we're going to need someone to for a carbine armorer school. That we don't expect that to be we expect that class to be local, so there'll be no lodging associated with it.
Okay.
But we do expect.
What is that exactly?
Carbines are in the cruisers, or you have them downstairs?
Both, but mostly we expect them to be the ones that are in the cars that would mostly be used. So that's the rifles, patrol rifles that we have.
Oh, okay.
So we need someone to be able to break that down. That was obviously something that Lieutenant Gilmartin took on, but as he's been promoted, and we're bringing on new firearms instructors, we want to spread that information out. And then we need a new taser instructor as well.
And those folks provide instruction when they come back to the
So the armor school is just to work on that. So they need to be cleaned, they need to be taken apart, parts need to be replaced. That's what the armor does. The taser instructor is for somebody to come back and make sure that our officers stay current in their certifications with Axon for the taser.
Okay.
Tuition, we have two officers who are currently enrolled in programs. Detective Smith is in the midst of a bachelor's program. Sergeant Burr was just finishing up his associate's degree, so he only has a few classes left. So he's taking one this semester. He'll be taking one in the summer, so that's reflected there in 404. Our supply line. Many of these things are repeated. First aid supplies, defibrillator supplies. Those are yearly things that we budget for. We have an officer who just cleared probation, who already came to us as police bicycle certified. So we are going to budget to potentially outfit him as a police bicycle officer. We're always excited to expand that bicycle force, and it's a very
What does
important.
that entail? I mean,
Sorry.
is that a new bike, or are we using bikes we have, or what?
So the bikes are fit to each officer. So it really depends on if we can we will definitely try to reuse. The other problem though is if you have two officers who are sharing the same bike, then you can only have one of them on the bike at the same time. Most days that's not an issue. Things like the music festival, Pleasantville Day, there's no reason if we had two bikes, we wouldn't want officers on two bikes. But most of that is also outfitting, uniforms, reflective clothing, things like that. Tourniquets and training, and trauma response. So training supplies, trauma packs. Each officer is going to be issued an individual trauma pack, which includes blood clots, gauze, things like that. They keep that on their person. It's just the continuation of our critical incident preparation. We've budgeted for another speed device as per the pedestrian committee's request, and obviously it's a good thing. So the ones that we have currently, we can move from location to location, but we really do have more locations than we have speed measuring devices. So we thought it warranted budgeting for another one. We literally, as we were preparing the budget, one of the chairs in our communications area broke beyond repair. So they are. That was a last minute
Hey,
add.
sorry, did I hit you down there?
Yeah, right. So we're expecting to replace those two chairs. Those chairs are, they're used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, evidence collection.
$1,900 a piece.
Sorry.
They're $1,900 a piece.
So they are.
What chairs are you getting?
They're from a company called 24/7. They specialize in heavy duty like dispatch chairs for municipalities. Our last ones lasted us about 6.5 years.
Should check Herman Miller too, but you're in the price range.
Yeah, right.
Those
Exactly.
are meant for, I had one for 20 years, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Not 24/7.
No, but like 8 hours a day, so.
Yeah. So they're used literally 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
365 days a year.
Okay.
For how long did the last one last?
The last two we had were about 6.5 years of use.
So
Yeah.
about the same, pretty good.
Yeah.
evidence collection, new patrol cameras, crime scene supplies.
So what's the jump from last year here? Is it mostly the speed device and the chairs?
Speed device, I believe, was in last year. The chairs are new.
I mean, we're up
bicycles
double
new.
basically from that projected 2024.
Yes, so really,
Sorry.
yeah, the trauma kits and there's definitely a couple new things. The police bicycle, the trauma kits.
Do we not have, I mean, it sounds good, but do we not have them now?
What, trauma
Trauma
kits?
kits?
No, we haven't issued those before.
So that would be good. Is that an annual thing?
No, that'll be, I mean, unless it's used, I don't know what their expiration is, but it's not a year.
I don't believe there's anything in it that actually expires, maybe we're clapping out on a yearly basis.
Okay.
Bandages, tourniquets.
Mhm.
You have another desktop.
Pardon?
You have a desktop. Do
Yeah,
Oh, in here? Yes. Yeah, and another desktop as well.
On the next page, yeah, right, so,
Looks like it.
okay. What's that 3,000 line miscellaneous office and patrol supplies?
That's office supplies, different, water deliveries, things
Okay.
like that. 407 maintenance contracts. So again.
The gifts that keep giving.
Amen. So, license plate reader, the license plate reader that we have currently is so old that they won't warranty the hardware, but they do warranty the software. So that's what that's for.
Still works.
No, still works. And it's linked into the county RTC. So, they do updates. We get information through there. They are able to access the information that we gather from that. So there is some shared services baked in there. Our iRecord system is a state law required camera that controls our interview room. Our phone recorder obviously records all of our telephone calls, 911 calls, and radio transmissions.
So this is contracts on the equipment or the software or the
All of them,
storage?
yeah,
or
all of
the
them,
above?
with the exception of the first one, they're all on the equipment and the software.
Okay,
And obviously the tech coming out. The Ricky fingerprint machine, again, that's how we take people's fingerprints, submit them to the FBI in New York State. Body camera maintenance and storage, that's obviously the big one there. That's a new thing. We are still obviously always examining the possibility of grants to fund those things.
right. So that give or take $20,000 is an annual item going forward for the body camera storage of the data.
Correct. Yep, the first year we had it was supplied by a grant, New York State grant. But now this will be the first year that we are on the hook for that.
What are your feelings about the body cameras? There's been some press recently that they haven't been as successful as, everyone expected them to be in terms of improving interactions between police and.
So
I
I have
haven't
seen,
followed it closely. I'll be honest. I've seen some of the headlines. I'm just curious. Yeah.
I hadn't seen that reporting.
Hmm.
There are studies that have, linked body cameras to better outcomes in, generally and nationwide.
Mhm.
Here, I think it's very successful as far as the documentation aspect of it. Anytime we have the opportunity to record any interaction between ourselves and a member of the public, we take it to the PVA's credit. They have never pushed back on this. They've supported it from the beginning.
Mhm.
They recognize that they would just as soon have their actions, rather have them on record than,
He said, she said.
Hearsay.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hadn't seen necessarily any of that reporting yet, but I'd be interested to sort of take a look
Yeah, well,
on
I
the
mean,
specifics of
Yeah.
it.
If I could.
Be an interesting development nationwide, but that genie's not going back in the bottle. I think.
Yeah, I suppose not. I was
I
just
think body
curious.
cameras are a permanent fixture.
Yeah, and I think, cameras and recording in general, I mean, so many of, we've talked about this before, so many of our crimes and incidents we solve or at least have leads on now due to, camera recordings and other technology that
Mhm.
we're gathering evidence with.
Right.
And as we come up with new places and new ways to gather evidence, the bad guys have new ways to potentially try to thwart that. So, we'll have
Hmm.
a situation happen where, all you have to do is put a different plate on a car and all of a sudden your license plate reader is ineffective.
Mhm.
Yeah,
we
more
see
the
that a lot.
Sure.
controversy over the body cameras has been with some of the larger urban departments not releasing footage, editing footage, individual officers turning off their cameras when then things subsequently happen that are, in dispute, et cetera.
Yeah.
So thank God we haven't had any of those issues so far.
Amen. Excuse me, 413. Again, static line, just in case we need investigations and we need some cash to go rent a car or to do something during an investigation. So, 420,
So in 413, you have money for drug buys?
so were we to need, legal.
Just checking.
Yeah, no, were we to, be doing an investigation and we need to, provide an informant with money to make a
Okay.
drug purchase, that's what that.
Okay.
So 420, we're seeing a, marked decrease. We actually, Mr. Vingemore, we actually saved the conversation about the fleet until you got here.
Thank you.
So, so we'll touch on that a little bit more, but we do expect with the generous support that the board has for our electric vehicle fleet that we do expect to see some savings in that line. In addition to skip ahead a little bit, 422. So we expect, I'll go back to 421 in a second. We expect for 422, we've kept it held steady for where it is currently right now. But we do expect that we budgeted conservatively. Most of the information that we've gotten is that $4,000 for 2 electric cars is probably going to be high. We're probably going to be able to come in under that, but we also, like I said, we wanted to sort of expect the worst and see, see how that pans out before we can really draw some strong conclusions from that. Going back to 421. We left this line open and this was a conversation. So, as we were talking about before this started, this is the first of our new radios on the MTA system.
Ooh,
It's quite.
You missed the price tag.
but $4,500 per radio or something?
And get you the battery, 4,500. No,
7,000 something a piece.
Nice.
Yeah. They are designed to last for decades. They are updatable. They are basically mini computers. Once we have the ability to, we will have the ability to go, we'll have the redundancy of both a P25, a trunk radio network, a typical police network, and LTE. So we are expecting very good things from these radios. we were kind of conversing about maybe, you know, there may be an incidental cost. We'll figure that out when the time comes. But as of for right now, we don't expect to spend any money on radio purchase or repairs for the upcoming year. Outside service, first line is just general civil service fees. Obviously, every time we submit a application of civil service, there's some money that has to come out of that. We do have some connectivity for some of our hotline radios. The hotline was the old system that was just kept in headquarters of each police department in Westchester County. So if you had a pursuit, you get on the hotline and say, we're headed, you know, south on the Sawmill Parkway. So all the different agencies along that route would know and be able to come and help you. We've advanced beyond that to a point where now we keep individual separate radios in the cars so that the officers, and that's on a county-wide frequency. So officers can just simply get on the radio. I don't have to call headquarters to have that headquarters now call another headquarters on the hotline for that to get to the officers. We're talking directly to each other, but those do come with some connectivity costs. Here you find the connectivity for these radios, the Harris radios, baked into 425. So we have this second to last one. We have the opportunity. We are under the understanding. I'm going to probably go to you in a second on this. In an effort to improve communications countywide, Westchester County has decided to outfit individual police agencies with multiple mobile units. So we call these portables. The ones that go in the cars we call mobile units.
Okay.
So they will give the units to us, but we have to pay to install them. So that means getting into the, you know, taking the seats out and doing everything like that. So we do expect potentially there is a cost for that. That program has not officially launched yet. We haven't received delivery. We haven't been promised delivery. It's sort of something that we're anticipating may happen. We are confident, however, that currently with the portable radios, this might be meeting all of our needs as far as with the quality of the communication, especially as it improves when the MTA antenna site goes online. So that we put that in there just to account for the possibility that we may be installing those mobile radios.
Okay.
And then lastly, we relocated the evidence room, as you may recall, from right behind the desk to downstairs in the basement. One of the things that we've come to find out is, especially as the new RMS hopefully comes online, we want to be able to have the officer, the property clerk who's working in the evidence room, be able to directly input information into our records management system or whatever system he or she is using. And so because it's in the basement, there's no connectivity there. So we need to drop an internet line into that evidence room. Okay, 438, firearms training, supplies, and munitions. You do obviously see a jump from our current projection this year to next year. 2020, it's relatively close to 2023. The increases here, just want to make sure I'm not saying anything out of school before I begin this. There aren't, to my recollection, nope, there aren't any significant increases in the budget. Most of the increases in this budget line are due to the rising cost of ammunition. So that accounts for probably.
And ammunition is like doubled, or?
No, it hasn't doubled, but if we go back to 2023, and then marry it up with this, many of these so the pistol lights and holsters we did last year. So the third one down, we did half the department last year. We're going to do the other half of the department this year. Range supplies, taser supplies, weapons parts and accessories. Those costs definitely have increased, but what you really see from 2023 is the increase in ammunition. There's also some of the other, we're continually updating. I think we've talked about this. I know we've talked about this in the past, but the patrol rifles, we have them on a bit of a replacement plan so that as we cycle through with all the training, all the rounds we put through them, we can cycle those out. And so we've staggered that out so it doesn't happen all at once. So that continues as well. That would be under weapon parts and accessories. Is there any, I don't mean to keep it,
No,
not,
all right.
good, okay,
Should-
442
Right,
copy
right.
machine, we own the copy machine, so no cost there. Uniforms, again, that first line is contractual, second line is just miscellaneous, where we need more patches, more hash marks, things like that come along. Bulletproof vests, we have again, the bullet resistant vests last 5 years. So we have the list of officers. This year we have 3 officers who need to be renewed, and we're again assuming potentially 2 new hires in the coming year. So you see in 2023, we had a significant higher number of officers who needed that vest replacement. So that number has come down from there, stayed pretty similar since last year. Dues and subscriptions stayed pretty similar, pretty flat. Again, none of those are particularly new. And then our software support and expense went down because, well, it's gone down significantly due to
That because
the,
impact going out.
the expiring RMS. And we did a software update last year, which I think was about $6,000, maybe $6,000 on our internal closed circuit TV cameras. And that obviously is not there. So you see that the final line is listed as from 2024.
So I still, my annual de minimis complaint about the alarm billing system. I mean, come on. No business on earth would spend $2,100 a year for a system to bill. How much do we bill?
We bring in about $8,000.
This is not the report, right? So we're paying that, I mean,
So we
this is a license to A1 for some little database they created in
What they did-
FileMaker Pro or something?
Yep, they pulled our data out of the RMS.
Yeah.
They had constructed a program that counted for this, did this. And then we work through that to.
And we have to pay
are
for it every
expecting-
month for the rest of time?
No, we are expecting the new RMS to have an alarm billing module, so we will be able to do that in our regular RMS system and not need the standalone system. So A1 is aware that they are potentially on borrowed.
The gravy train is over.
It's coming into the station.
I mean, it's not that much money, but it's like, come on.
Our crossing guards, this again, in conversation with our pedestrian committee about sort of their needs and wants. One of the things we are asking for is a 50-cent increase to $22.50 an hour. We've been at $22 an hour for at least the last 2 years. We think that it's just a good idea. We don't necessarily think this is going to open the floodgates, but we are continually struggling to bring in new crossing guards. So any little bit might help.
And is this propose a new post?
So at this point, we currently have, I believe we currently have 11.
Okay,
I
it says new crossing guard at Bedford
think
and
that's
Pleasantville.
dated. I apologize. I should have taken that out.
Hmm.
In conversation with the pedestrian committee, Eric's safe to say they were they were understanding of the challenges that come along with creating a new post. And so when we explained to them that probably wasn't something that was going to happen, they seemed.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not just money, it's finding someone to serve.
Right. The hardest part is, as we've said many times, once you establish the post, you can't really walk away from it. And so when we do lose people and our crossing guards, it's a part-time position, they still potentially want to see family, have other things to do. We have our crew of crossing guards are tremendous. Obviously, if you've been around the village for any length of time, you've seen crossing guards on the same post for years and years. But it is a challenge to retain, especially throughout the year. Somebody goes and gets a medical procedure done, somebody has childcare issues for their grandkids, and all of a sudden they're not available for an extended period of time, and we have to fill those positions. So. Okay. Parking enforcement. You see the salary numbers there. The overtime, most of that overtime comes from crossing guard coverage. So, we have the crossing guards, we have some fill-in crossing guards when things are good. And then potentially the next call after that would be having our park enforcement officer handle a crossing guard post. So that's what we're anticipating there. No vacation buyback. Contractual services is a percentage of the money that we take in fees for the company that handles our the automated system that we use.
Right, for parking tickets and scofflaw notices and all that.
Correct. Supplies, those are just things that we need to run our parking enforcement officers. So 444, the bottom one, work shoes, is for the CBA. Both of our crossing guards at this point, we understand that for many people, this is an entry-level position. So we are concerned that there's a possibility that there may be some turnover coming with our crossing guard, excuse me.
PEOs or crossing guards?
PEOs.
Oh, okay, okay,
CSW.
Tuesdays, okay.
CSW, I'm sorry.
Okay.
For all the civil service wonky people watching at home, technically there are community service workers is the title.
Someone at home is screaming, hold it, hold it.
I've
That's
uncovered it.
137.1.
So we are potentially, we are at least budgeting for the possibility that we may be not just replacing uniforms for our current CSWs, but potentially outfitting new CSWs. So that comes with reflective clothing, outerwear, embroidery, personalization, all of that,
Potentially for both positions.
potentially.
Okay.
And then 484, the connectivity for the mobile devices that they use to issue the tickets is there in that line. Animal control, we just reserve $500 in case there's an issue or something that goes beyond. We haven't really had to use it in the recent past, but we did have coyote sightings at one point. We had to bring in the trapper and liaison with people. So we just put that in as a little placeholder. Okay,
All right, back to the fleet.
back to the fleet. So, I apologize. I understand looking at this spreadsheet, when you know it and understand the cars and have a detailed understanding of them, this is much easier to understand for those of you who get to look at this once a year. It's probably a little bit confusing. We'll start with this way. In the green highlighted areas, those are the three cars that we have PO submitted for. We are expecting them. We were, I don't want to say assured. It was told to us that we probably would have had them by now.
What? Sorry.
That owl keeps staring right at me. So we are anticipating them all in the very near future. They still have some work to be done before they're ready to be deployed. When we do, that replaces car 50 and 51. 50 is my vehicle. It's an administrative car that will go to the detectives. 51 is actually Lieutenant Woolman's car that is pursuit rated, so that will be outfitted and become a patrol vehicle here in the village.
Okay.
And then the new 58, which is another hybrid, will be also entered into the fleet to replace the old 58, which is currently out of service. It had reached the end of its life. Some other things to note there, we'll move 53. If you notice that it's a 2013, it's 11 years old. It needs to be replaced. That will be replaced as we move 55 out.
And the strategy I'm hoping for replacement is that in the short term, until you become comfortable, or whatever municipality you're following has pursuit rated for fully electric vehicles, you're going to move pursuit vehicles that are being used by people who are administrators or whatever to patrol and give the administrators EVs, right?
I'm sorry. So you're saying?
So I'm saying like the detectives presumably can use something closer to an ordinary car than something like you would use as opposed to something like patrol people would use.
So we are at this point committed to EVs for our administrative vehicles. So that would be the three of us and the detective cars. We haven't really had the opportunity to insert an electric vehicle into The patrol fleet, we still have concerns about it. I've done research with the NYPD, other jurisdictions. It hasn't come to a head yet where we had the opportunity to put one into the patrol fleet.
Right.
But we're keeping very close tabs on the advancements that are.
I guess all I'm saying is that I'm assuming that for this next year, if it comes up that you need to replace a vehicle, that you can buy an EV and then push a vehicle that's pursuit rated down to the patrol officers, correct?
So the only pursuit rated vehicle that we have that is not in the patrol fleet is Lieutenant Woolman's. That one is slated already to head in to replace a combustion engine with a hybrid. So
those,
The Chargers not?
those Explorer hybrids can't
Pursuit
be outfitted with the pursuit package?
The Chiefs Explorer?
Yeah.
no,
That
so
one's not- That one's not.
it's not, no, it's the brakes, it's the suspension. The cars either
Well,
come
they
as,
got on better suspension, it's an extra oil cooler or something like that. There's like 4 or 5 things, right?
yeah, I mean, I've never
I mean,
looked
that's the way it's
into
built. It's
retrofitting.
factory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's not like you can send the same car back to get it. Is that what you were saying?
Well, I'm just saying, I was just assuming that you got the police version of the hybrid, right? It wasn't a civilian version.
correct.
So does it not have like the non-electronic parts of it's not just the dash package and the cage, et cetera, that's missing? Is that what you're saying?
So the equipment that goes inside the car is what necessarily makes it.
No, I know.
Right, so when we normally when we buy an admin vehicle,
Yeah.
we don't buy pursuit rated.
Uh-huh.
We made that decision for Lieutenant Woolman mainly because we had the opportunity. It was on the lot, so we said, okay, we'll take it.
Right.
We recognized that we would then be able to potentially transition it into patrol fleet, and that's what we're doing is we replace it with an EV.
Mhm.
I'm still not 100% sure exactly what.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what the difference between, because I know the police version of, not the EVs, of the hybrids are already heavier duty than what's sold for civilian use, right?
Right.
And so, and I understand that there's some issues with, having the cage for prisoner transport or whatever, and with your electronics package in the vehicle. I'm just trying to imagine in our 1 mile wide village, what are the things between the general police rated vehicle and the pursuit rated vehicle that make any safety or functional difference in the daily conduct of your lives?
So they're really built in one of two ways. They're either built so my car is actually much closer to a civilian car. It has no added, doesn't have the stronger brakes, doesn't have the better suspension or all the other things that go into it. Those cars have remained, we've used those for admin. We've kept pursuit rated cars for patrol.
Haven't they been charging us like a bunch more for the police versions that are not patrol rated than if you had bought it as a civilian?
That I'm not sure.
Lights are put on it and all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, we still purchase off the state contract.
Right.
So the pricing of it is
Yeah.
determined at that.
No, I'm just saying.
And
like,
then, yeah, but, to the mayor's point, there's, I think it's how, between, even my car has, the radios, the lights, all the other
yeah.
features that go in it.
I think it would be worth knowing what exactly is the difference. And the only reason I'm saying that, because if it is just the radio, the lights, et cetera, that stuff can be retrofitted. If it's, a suspension component or whatever, then, maybe that needs to be manufacturer.
I mean, my understanding is it's more the latter than the former, but I'm obviously not an expert.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'd be curious to know.
pursuit rated vehicles come with structural differences, from normal vehicles.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we've never looked at retrofitting an admin vehicle into a pursuit rated
I
vehicle.
always say that because, I drive a vehicle where every owner in the country gets everything changed.
Mhm.
And it's like a Lego kit.
Does that include you?
Well, the owner changes eventually.
I see.
Yeah. But no, yes, I've had suspension upgrades. I've done tires, wheels, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that usually once we're transferring from Lieutenant Woolman's vehicle is going into patrol, but it's going in with 63,000 miles.
Mhm.
So usually we've already squeezed a lot of the juice out of the vehicles to then significantly put
Yeah.
How many
retrofit. It
miles
might just be easier just
Yeah,
to
I don't
buy.
think you can retrofit, to be perfectly honest,
Yeah.
into a pursuit rating. I just
No,
don't think you can do it.
That's all right. I just want to know because I'm
Yeah.
curious.
I will just say parenthetically that, we're working on a climate action plan as part of the Climate Smart Task Force.
Mhm.
And I'm actually meeting with somebody tomorrow who we might hire to do an energy audit, because I don't think you were there when we had a meeting with some of the other heads of department, to talk about this, but I just wanted to let you know that if we do hire that person, they will, help us with the energy piece of it, which includes like building emissions and
Mhm.
things like that. And at some point, it would be helpful to have a conversation about the fleet as well and sort of what your thinking is in terms of, because we're going to be trying to set certain target goals, for reducing emissions going forward, ideally to align with the current state goals.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so these new cars that are coming mean that there isn't another car at the moment in the budget.
So we haven't budgeted, we've done this capital projects, the cars recently. We do not expect, and if you look at some of the mileages here and some of the years on these cars, they are getting a little bit long. A little bit, we're definitely, we have, 5.7 has 94, almost 95,000 miles. So we don't
At your last quarterly update, you requested the EV vehicle, which we're moving to acquire.
Right.
Which acquiring now means we get in.
hopefully before the end of the summer or so. Yeah, those are the three new vehicles there. I mean, we don't
Right.
expect to have another vehicle request in the near future.
Yeah.
In the
So
foreseeable
hopefully we can
future.
get through another year, then hopefully we'll have some
More infrastructure.
pursuit rated EVs,
Mhm.
in another
Okay.
year or so.
The PEO Leaf continues to be okay, obviously very low mileage.
Leaf is doing well. I will say that obviously.
Lyndon says the building department one feels like driving a golf cart.
See that, sure. The only other thing that I would highlight on there is the motorcycle. So we haven't really used the motorcycle for enforcement recently. It's really a ceremonial vehicle. But it is an opportunity for us to, it's an impressive piece of equipment. It is.
Is Berwa the only?
Sergeant Burrow is currently the only operator. I'm trying to think if any of the new guys have a motorcycle license. No one else has been trained since Burwa, is police operation of the motorcycle. But I'm trying to think. Want to have a motorcycle license?
Officer Shalom.
I think also salvation expressed interest.
Expressed interest.
Do they have to wear then different set of protective gear and everything when they're riding around?
They have the booth, there's some uniform stuff, but
So you've used it for ceremonial purposes, parade, funeral, that kind of thing.
yep, absolutely.
Are you envisioning using it for enforcement if you had the capacity?
No, I don't think so. But I think it's getting to the point where we need to, at least consider what a replacement might look like on that vehicle. These vehicles last a long
And
time.
that was supposedly free, but it turned out not to be,
Well,
turned out free is, in the eye of the beholder.
yeah. So again, I'm not coming forward asking for anything at this point. I'm sort of just putting it on your radar
I
that,
mean, what does a motorcycle like that cost? They're expensive, right?
What can't you replace on a motorcycle like that?
so I don't know that there's anything you can replace. I think eventually it comes to, and this is just from conversations with both the operator and the mechanic,
Yeah.
that eventually that gets to a point where it might just make sense to bring in a new one. I mean, it's working fine. It's good. We have put.
Gets very little use. So
Yeah, I mean, we have put,
where do you keep it? Keep it on?
it has a little spot down at the village garage.
That's the rule.
Huh?
All right.
Yeah.
So, any other questions about the fleet?
Pretty clear.
And let us know when you actually get the EV, so it'll be
I'm sure we'll advertise that proudly.
All right. Well, so thank you for that. We didn't knock any money,
No,
apparently.
still early though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's reserving his right, yeah.
Yeah.
a couple lines in our mind.
I bet. Hold on, I didn't, you know what, and ironically, I didn't even look at the final page to see how I did.
Well, it's tough because what's confusing is the adopted last year doesn't account for the retro and PBA payout,
Right,
which we budgeted in contingency.
based on the
Right.
extension of the contract.
So what, Noreen, it's probably best to look at projected versus requested, probably a little bit more.
Yeah, but even that, we have to take a look now that we have, staffing changes too. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like I said, within the next, before we roll the tentative.
Okay,
But we're kind of settled in personnel now, but a couple people that are here do, promote again in March.
Okay.
So with that, we'll be able to project through May. Know where we really are.
all right, thank you for that. For anyone who's watching on Zoom, which is apparently nobody except Alyssa and Kristen. Same time, same channel, DPW tomorrow.